Marriage is a mithaq, a solemn covenant. It should be entered into with full commitment and knowledge of what it involves. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a new edition of Youth Talk. First of all, I'd like to welcome my guests in this studio. Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, the instructor at the American Open University in Virginia, the Imam of the Clear Lake Islamic Center in Houston, and a member of the Fatwa Committee in the Muslim Jurist in North America. It's a pleasure having you with us, Sheikh Waleed.
It's my pleasure, Karim.
I'd also like to welcome our other guests in the studio. I have with me Abu Abdullah from Tajikistan, an employee in a computer company, as well as Mahmoud, an English translator, and Ahmed from the Faculty of Language and Translation at the Al-Azhar University. It's a pleasure having you all with us. Sheikh Waleed, we have already discussed in the past about finding the right person or the other half of the male or female Muslim. What about the period of engagement? In many cultures, the notion of engagement is different than that in Islam.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een wa ba'd. All praise due to Allah, and His praise and blessings be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family and his followers until the Day of Judgment. No doubt, engagement, or what we call in Arabic language khitbah, it's a period of time prior to the marriage. It has a very simple meaning in Islam, and unfortunately some people made it very complicated. It's as simple as this. Engagement, it means that you propose to a girl that you're interested in and to ask for her hand, and you show your interest in her, that you want to marry her. You talk to her wali, her guardian, her father or brother, whatever. Either you or through your family, even if they go and talk on your behalf and they say, okay, our son or our brother interested in your daughter or your sister. When this happened, that we call it khitbah, engagement, and they accept this proposal and they think, okay, we will think about it. That period of time when both the man and the woman, or the brother and the sister, thinking about this proposal, taking consideration, that's what we call it engagement or khitbah.
Is there a certain length of time for the engagement, or does it depend on, is a long engagement something that is preferable, or are there things that govern the length of an engagement period?
There is nothing in Sharia specifically in regard to the length of the engagement period. But I would like to say that from my experience, I found as much as you make this engagement period short, as much as I found it it became better for both sides. It should be long enough for both sides to know each other, but very long period of time, like some people extend it even to a year or maybe more than that. I don't think this is a healthy relationship between both sides, because it's going to be very hard for the man and for the woman to feel like, okay, I'm engaged to that person, but still I'm not married to him yet, or I'm not married to her yet.
So, can I propose to a girl this morning and marry her this afternoon, or what? Is it okay in Islam, or what?
Yeah, you can propose to her and marry her next day, the same day. You might not even need to have khitbah or engagement at all. You go, you say, I want to marry her directly. But the engagement period meant to be for both sides to think about this proposal. So for her and her family to think about the man who's proposing to their daughter, and for the man and his family to think about this girl that's going to be the future wife for their son or for that brother. But absolutely, if you want to do that straight, it's up to you.
Ahmed, if you were engaged, are you engaged first of all?
No.
You're not
yet.
engaged. If you were engaged, would you feel relaxed or feel that it was okay to, for example, take out the person, the female that you're engaged to get to know her alone, for example?
This is a question I want to ask to Sheikh. Can the one go out with her alone? Okay.
No, the engagement it doesn't mean that you are married to her.
Yeah.
So she's not your wife yet. She's exactly like any other woman, not related to you. The only difference is that you're thinking about this girl to be your future wife. So going out with her or being alone with her in one place, touching her, is not allowed. She cannot take off her hijab in front of you all the time. She can do only that if you ask for that in order for you to see her. But other than that, she cannot just every time you come to the home or she go outside with you without hijab. This is not allowed because she's not your wife.
If I'm righteous and she is righteous, we follow the Messenger of Allah. Is this a problem? Go out with her alone?
Yeah, because if we follow the Messenger of Allah, the Messenger of Allah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala order us to obey the religion. And the rules of the religion is very clear. This woman is not related to you. So basically you cannot be with her alone. You cannot go outside with her alone or to be treating her like a wife. She's not a wife yet.
So Sheikh.
Okay. Sheikh, I want to talk about engagement in Muslim country, in non-Muslim country, okay? For example, more boys and girls I see in Muslim country, they go together. When I talk to them, why you go to this girl, the boy? We say it's my khatiba, like engagement. We do engagement. What do you talk about this? Like kuffar, you know? I want to say something about this, because it's a big problem in Arabic country, you know.
I think it's a common practice by so many people. When they get engaged, they think that they're already married to each other, and that's the way they think. So they start acting this way. That's why I said it's not good to make the engagement period long period. You should make it short because sometimes you cannot control yourself so much. Yeah. So make it easy on yourself. If you like the girl, you like the man, go ahead and do the contract. Go do the contract. As soon as possible, do the marriage. That's what I will advise. But going outside in the engagement period alone or start like dating kind of, that's not permissible in Islam, and it's not the etiquette of the Muslim. And so many times the engagement ends up, it can broke up. Mm-hmm. Okay, after all these years or months, whatever it is, weeks going out alone, and you break the engagement, and now she start looking for another man. How's she gonna feel, or what is his or her reputation will be? That's one. Two, it's going to be very hard emotionally to break up after a long time that you spend a long time with her and get too closer to each other, so close to each other, because this love will be developed by time, by seeing each other. So the love will be stronger and stronger and stronger. So for some reason you cannot continue in this relationship. When you break up, it became very, very hard on you. So actually Islam said that, or the Sharia told us not to do that. The law, it's in your side for your own benefit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you, when you invest in your emotion, you invest in the right and the proper time. Not in a time or in a situation, it might not be the right, she might not be the right person for you.
Sheikh, I want to say another question because it's my chance. I want to know more about injection. What about somebody is talking telephone after injection to she, in chat maybe?
Okay, talking on the phone or chatting with your fiancé. First of all, if there is need for that, if you want to ask her certain questions, you want to know certain things about her, just to get to know her. If this is by the permission of her father and her family, they are aware of that, and you want to ask her certain questions by phone and to get to know her better, it's permissible, but it should not be like you take your time and take this as a reason for you to be calling 24/7 and all the time on the phone, like what we see now. Every time he's buying a phone card to recharge his mobile or his cell phone because he keep calling and talking. The main point, try to remember this. The main point, Islam doesn't want you to go farther in your emotion with her until you marry her, because we care so much about you in case if this didn't work out. It's the worst thing is to love somebody so much that you can have him for one reason or another. And as we know, this dunya doesn't go the way we want all the time. Maybe it goes the other direction. So instead of being that person, that lover who lost his loved one and live in misery, and that's true, live in misery. People die because of sadness and being depressed. We don't want you to reach that level. So make sure that this love and this emotion be invested in the right time. That's the whole point.
My Sheikh, is engagement that simple? When people think of engagement, they think of a party, of serving food, of entertaining neighbors, friends, families, of playing music.
Mahmoud, I also see that you have an engagement ring.
Of course, yeah.
On.
Yeah.
Is something like that also part of an engagement, or is that something that we have created, or our culture seems to create?
No, there is nothing called in Islam engagement ring. Like it's a culture thing. So, but it's not part of the requirement in religion. So, if this has became a popular in one country, in a Muslim country, and this is their custom, this is the way they do it all the time, became part of their culture, even though maybe it's been adopted from another culture. But if something became so common among Muslims and commonly practiced, and it's not been taken from a non-Muslim country and culture, and it's not related to some other religion than Islam, it's not part of a religious ceremony other than the Islamic faith, in this case, you can use it, you can adopt it, and you can practice it, something common. For instance, this type of clothes was not common in Muslim country maybe in 2 centuries ago or 300 years ago, but now it became something very common among Muslims, and it became like a Muslim's clothes. Nobody can say this clothes belong to certain people or certain culture. It became part of the Muslim culture as well. This is for the party. I'm glad that you raised this point, because I think you guys agree with me that it's a big obstacle facing so many youth when he think about, okay, I have to buy engagement dress and party and doing this, and still I have to do that again maybe in the marriage. And maybe some culture they divided the
and maybe
engagement.
some culture the male gets everything.
That's the lucky one. No, but sometimes the girl's family has to take care of the engagement party. Then the male family, they have to take care of the marriage, or vice versa, the other way around. So this is not also part of the engagement requirement in Islam. Islam want to make it simple. Marriage is very simple thing in Islam. Very simple. People made it complicated, and the consequences of that, people scared to get married. They are scared to commit it because they saw marriage is something very complicated. But when you go back to the original meaning of marriage in Islam, it's a very simple procedure.
Sheikh Waleed, you have been saying that the real reason for engagement is for the male and female to get to know each other before they decide that they are right and that they should get married. But nowadays what we see as engagement is that it's more of a period that the male prepare himself in terms of a house, in terms of finances, to be able to get married. That's now become the situation more than actually getting to know the person. Is that a major problem now in society, that people are overlooking the real meaning of engagement, do you think?
I think it's different from one culture to another. I think it's different, but it's a good point, because I think this can apply to so many people. I know personally that they use this period of time, which is the engagement, to prepare themselves for marriage. But engagement was not meant for that. I think you should prepare yourself first, then propose. Or maybe do the contract, then finish whatever things you want to accomplish or to do prior to the marriage.
But the mention of contract, can I propose today and make a contract tomorrow and then go out with her to a restaurant, get out for a picnic, go out? But after making contract with
no,
her, not just engagement.
Sure, if you do the contract, she became your wife. Even if she doesn't move to your house or not yet, both of you move to one house, but the moment you do the contract, she's your wife. You can go with her. Yeah. Before that, she's not your wife yet. She's just your fiancée.
You want to know what can I see if he...
Okay. If you propose to a girl, what you can see, what you can't see. I'll say what you can see. The rule is like this. This issue, there is a different opinion between the scholars about it. Some scholars said, such as among the Shafi'iyya and Ibn Nawawi rahimahullah, said that you're only allowed to see the face and the hand. You're only allowed to show this. Other scholars said, no, you can see her in the way usually she will be at home. What usually women show to other women, like somebody visit a woman at home, what she will be wearing. The reason for that, you want to see how she looks like when you get married, when you are with her in the home. She's not going to be wearing her hijab when you marry her. So you want to see what's going to make you attractive to her. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, when Jabir radiallahu anhu ardah, told the Prophet ﷺ that he's planning to get married, the Prophet ﷺ asked him and he said, go and look at the girl that you are going to marry. And Nabi ﷺ did not specify what to see from her. So that's a very general statement. And if anyone try to limit this to certain parts in the body, he need proof for that. He need proof for that. If somebody said only the face, what's your proof to say only the face? The Prophet didn't see that. Let's see how the Sahaba practiced this. Let's see how the companions of the Prophet ﷺ understood this order or this statement from the Prophet ﷺ. What Jabir did. Jabir radiallahu anhu did, he said, I went and I hid in a place and I was able to see her in her tent, inside her tent, inside her home. And I saw what made me comfortable, and after that I proposed to her. Definitely, inside her house, she's not going to be wearing hijab. So that means he saw something which she will not usually show when she's outside. There are several incidents like that. It shows you that there is things beyond the face were seen from the woman. And that's natural. Somebody would like to know how she looks like, how her hair looks like, for example. But I'm not saying that she wears a skirt and, sleeveless, because it's not a fashion show. It's not like to seduce him when he comes. No, it's the way usually she looks like. And this is a very strong opinion and been supported by several scholars in the modern days that he is allowed to see what usually women show. And it depends. Some people might specifically ask for something. Okay, I want to see her hair. I want to see how she looks like, her hair looks like. If he asks for that, she allowed to show him that.
So here it's lawful to see her hand, face, hair? No?
Yeah.
leg. And
If you want to make it very close to the sunnah, you should try to see her without her seeing you. I mean, not like face to face. And this is part of the etiquette of engagement. You try to see her. Let's say your sister invited her in your house, and you kind of saw her while she's with the sisters. Why is that? The scholar said that for a reason. Let's say you go, you walk in, you see her, then after that, you don't like her. And you said, I don't want to continue on this. This is embarrassing. This is very embarrassing to the girl. So also the Sharia, the Islamic law, cares about her feeling. Cares about her. That's why it encourages you to try to find out about her look without her realizing that. Because it's not proper. And by the way, looking at your future wife, your fiancée, it's not only meant for you to see how she looks like. It's the other way around. Also, she has a desire. She has a certain picture in her mind about her future husband. So it's not only about you as a male. She also has the right to know if he looks good. This the same way the guy would like to be connected to him the rest of my life, inshallah. So it's actually for both sides.
So can a female actually propose to a male then? If she, of course, has the right to see him, to just take a look at the person that she might eventually become the wife of, but can a female actually propose to a male?
Can a female propose to a male? The majority of the Muslim scholars said no. This is only to the Prophet ﷺ. He's the only one who has this right. That a female proposed to him ﷺ. Several females. Some others said no, it can be also, can apply to other men as well. But this is not the common way, that's not the way I will advise to be done. It's the other way around. Should the man who is the one who proposed to the girl. But there's nothing wrong at all. I think it's a good idea. If you have a sister, you tell your friend or your relatives. If you know somebody good, tell them I have my sister and she's a good candidate for to be a good wife, Don't hesitate, I have a daughter. Actually, I think the smart man, he's the one who chooses for his daughter. What you do, daughter, she's not going to go outside and say, hey, marry me. It's not common, Would you accept me? It doesn't sound right. I don't know.
I think the story of Shu'aib was Prophet Musa. The daughter of Shu'aib said to her father, "Oh, my father, hire him." I think it was just an indirect statement that she desired to marry Prophet Musa, or what?
Let's imagine the scenario. A girl proposed to a guy, he married her. Their marriage is valid, it's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying it's not the proper way. Maybe there is a hint, but Shu'aib's daughter never said, we want to marry him. They said, hire him. And I don't see any indication in that.
Nothing directly.
Yeah, nothing directly. But it came from the father that he offered Musa alayhi salam the job, and he said, I would like you to marry one of my daughters. So the father will choose for his daughter. I think this is something it's a good thing, because you care about your daughter's future.
Well-being. Yeah. Okay, we'll take a short break and we'll be back in a few seconds. Welcome back to Youth Talk. Abu Abdullah, you had a question for Sheikh Waleed.
Yeah, I want to know, Sheikh, about how many times you can see she, girl you want to marry, how many times? Just one?
How many times
more.
can you see her, as you were mentioning a moment ago about seeing her hair or her hands or her face or whatever? Is that just once, or every time you go you can see this? You can see her that way.
Remember what I said. Originally, we recommend the person to be able to see her without her noticing that. But if it's going to be directly, like, okay, I'm going to go and see her, this is only, she can take off her hijab in front of the man, only with two conditions, and make this clear. Because so many sisters, they might feel, especially the one who wear hijab, they will feel uncomfortable about this, hearing this, because she wears hijab all the time, and just somebody walking into the house and take off my hijab in front of him. They ask me always this question: Sheikh, what if 10 people propose to me? Does that mean I'm going to take off my hijab in front of 10 people? I said, don't take your hijab off in front of anybody proposed to you unless, one, you consider this person to be your future husband. Like, if you not consider the person to be your future husband, you don't like him, he has certain quality that you're not comfortable with. If you said, okay, I'm not interested in him, don't take off your hijab in front of him. So this person will be eliminated, is out. And the other thing, if there is more than one, only the serious one, you know that he's serious. If you notice that the guy is not serious, tell him, okay, I'm going to see you first time with my hijab on, just to know how much I'm comfortable with. Maybe next time I'll take off my hijab in front of you. So it's not like the first man knock the door, take your hijab off. Okay. It's not like that. It's about how much you feel comfortable with that, and you know that the person is serious. The second condition is that only you can take off your hijab, or you ask her to take off her hijab, or you go look at her without hijab, if there is need. Let's say you didn't know really how she looks like. You can't make a decision yet. I need to see her one more time to make the decision. So you are allowed. But here it comes from you within. From your heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in your heart. If you're just playing around or you are sincere. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who knows what's really in your heart, in your mind. If you're playing around, this is sin, and this is idha. You're hurting your sister, and you're using the religion for your own desire, and this is the worst thing to do. So that will be the answer. And in regard to this, some people ask about picture. Can I see her picture?
Yeah, I want to see
okay, some people said, okay, can I see her picture? I don't recommend that at all. I don't recommend my sisters to take pictures without hijab and to pass it around to khattaba, or like khattaba is like in some culture a female, or sometimes even a male, sometimes a company, sometimes now an internet service, whatever form it will take these days. They take your picture without hijab and they show it. Believe me, there is so many terrible stories we hear about misusing these pictures, and people looking at it for reason or no reason, if he's serious or not serious. Don't allow it.
It's actually better to, if you have the need to do so, to ask to see her hair rather than see a picture of her.
Picture, and always picture. You don't know how real this picture is.
Then you don't know where the picture is going, and how many people are seeing it, etc., etc.
Yeah, but I think the other way around can be acceptable.
Sheikh, I want to say another question. I'm sorry. Take more time maybe.
Oh, no.
About picture. Somebody is serious. He want to marry. Okay? He want to marry. But he want just see picture. Maybe she shy from men.
She's shy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What I talk to you is my life. I see this. Some sister, she's married with just picture. The man who say picture only.
I can give you another example even. It can be also similar to what you're saying. What if she lives in another country? And I can't travel all the way to Sydney to see the girl I'm interested in, it's hard, it can the picture be the solution? I don't want to open this door, but it can be a solution. But it has to be exceptions. There's not the general rule. There is always exception to the rule. and it has to be handled in a very, in the right way, to be careful about who has the pictures, how to guarantee that this picture will be deleted after the person look at it. She has to make sure that her picture will not be misused, to be tomorrow on some website, to be used, to be published. This is our main concern. Yes.
I have mentioned that a girl cannot take off her hijab for 10 persons who propose to her. Can more than one propose to a girl at the same time?
Yes, yes and no. How's that? Okay. Yes, if they don't know about each other. No, if they know about each other. It happened, I proposed to a girl, and it happened that Karim and Mahmoud and Abu Abdullah and Ahmed, they proposed to the same girl, and we didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? I proposed to the girl, you proposed to the girl, and find out later on that more than one person proposed to her. That's why when the Prophet ﷺ approached by one of the companions, a female companion, she said, Ya Rasulullah, there's 3 people proposed to me. 1, 2, 3, then she mentioned them. So there's 3 people proposed to her. Then the Nabi ﷺ recommended her to marry Usama. The scholar said, in regard to this hadith, that these 3 people proposed to her in the same times, yes, but they didn't know about each other. But if you know that your brother proposed to a girl, don't go and propose to her. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يخطب أحدكم على خطبة أخيه. You should not propose to a girl if you know that your brother already proposed to her.
What if he proposed and not yet is accepted?
What if he was not accepted? Don't propose. Because still it's an engagement. Khitbah is just by proposing. If he was rejected, you can propose. Let's say I know that you proposed to a girl. She said no. You can propose. But if she's still thinking, don't propose. Why? Because we don't want to disturb her. We don't want to disturb the girl. Because she will be, okay, 1, 2, 3. Let her take her time to think about that person. That's one side. The other, also from another perspective, that it's not a good manner. That your brother proposing to a girl and you go propose to the same girl. That means you and this guy, you cannot be friends anymore. It's kind of, it doesn't sound right.
Maybe they don't know each other.
No, I mean, if he knows
that somebody did.
Yeah, because we're expecting the Muslim community to be all act like one community, like brothers, like one ummah, one family. So we don't expect that to be done from a brother to another, you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's not from the proper etiquette to do that. But if the girl has different proposals, what she can do, and this is a common question. Sheikh, I have 10 proposals, let's be realistic, 3 proposals. What my advice will be like this. Look at every person by himself and try to see what you are interested in the guy. And every girl and every boy, every man and every woman has certain things in his mind. And be practical. Don't be like ideal. Okay, I only think about one area. No, be realistic. Okay, for example, I like the look to be 1, 2, 3. I like the education to be 1, 2, 3. The background, the culture, the religion. You know what I'm saying? All these things together. I put it, okay, if he doesn't meet the criteria you have in your mind or not even close to it, cancel. Don't think about, okay, this is out. I accept that. And if, let's say, 2 became on the same level, what to do? I think this can be decided after meeting the person. You feel comfortable with somebody more than the other. And always trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He will choose for you the right person. That will be my advice.
Ahmed, you had a question?
Yes, another question. It's lawful and religious to reading Al-Fatiha? Read Al-Fatiha?
Okay, to read Al-Fatiha when you propose to a girl. It's not from the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam never ever told anyone who proposed to a girl when he talked to her family to read Al-Fatiha. The question here, marriage, is not a culture thing. Marriage, part of it's culture, but mainly it's part of our religion. And we know that anything in the religion, we take it only from one source, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. So we go to Al-Quran and Sunnah. There is nothing in the Quran or Sunnah telling us to read Al-Fatiha when we engage, or when somebody proposes to a girl, or when they make the marriage contract. This is something somebody invented and just added to the marriage ceremony, and it's not part of the Islamic heritage.
Sheikh Waleed, we've been talking about the engagement period. After the engagement and both parties have decided that they are going to get married, the next step is Aqd al-Zawaj, or the marriage contract. What are the details or the conditions of the marriage contract itself? I mean, are there certain conditions that go within it? What can you tell us about the marriage contract?
Okay, the marriage contract has pillars, and without these pillars, the marriage contract will not be valid. There is a difference of opinions between the Muslim scholars about the pillars, which without it the marriage will not be valid. But let me start with what all the scholars agree upon. There's what they call it the ijab and qabul, that offering and acceptance. It has to be done this way. You have to, the man, the groom, or the person who proposes to the girl, he has to ask for her hand, and then the girl's father, her guardian, will accept his offer. Then he will offer him to marry his daughter. Then the groom will say, I accept. So it has to be an offering and acceptance from both sides. This is a pillar must be exist. And this can be directly, this can be through somebody represent you. Let's say she lives in another country and you will marry her. You can ask somebody to represent you in that country. Like the Prophet ﷺ, when he did that with a woman that he married to in Abyssinia, and the Najashi gave the mahar on the behalf of the Prophet ﷺ. Also, it can be done in writing. If this is common today, people do this in writing as well. This is one condition that everybody agree upon. The second one, which is the majority of the fuqaha. The majority, first one has some details. I'm not going to go on deep into it. It's called sigha and stuff like that. Like there's exact word you have to use, but whatever common language, whatever can serve this purpose, the offering acceptance will be accepted. In Arabic, in English, in French, in Tajik, okay, it's acceptable.
Even by sign.
No, I don't know about sign. There's a talk about this among the fuqaha, the jurors. Is sign acceptable? But if a person can't talk, sign will be acceptable. Okay, this is one thing. The other thing, the majority of the fuqaha, the majority of the scholars said there has to be wali representing the woman, a guardian, her father, and if his father is not alive, will be the closest to her in her. And if there is a inherited, like her son, if he's in the age of puberty, even if definitely he will be younger than her, or her brother, even if he's younger than her, but he's 15 years or older, and he's the oldest brother, he can represent her uncle, her grandfather, and so on. This condition, the vast majority of the fuqaha said it must exist in order for this marriage to be valid. Also, there is other things has to be not exist in order for this marriage to be valid. For example, she cannot be one of your maharim, the blood relative that you're not allowed to marry, like a sister or aunt or something like that. She should not be also related to your sister through breastfeeding. If she was breastfed from the same woman, she became your sister, or she's your sister-in-law of somebody. going to marry again, something like that. She has to be free of this. Also, the scholars add in these recent days a very interesting point, and it's important. The person must be free from sexual transmitted disease, which can cause death to the other party. They said, like somebody has AIDS, if he's going to marry a girl who's not affected with AIDS, some scholars said this can prevent the marriage. Other scholars said it can be accepted if the other party accept that. If the other party accept to take the risk. And this is a very debatable issue between the scholars in these recent days. She has the right to say, I don't care even if I became infected with this disease. Does she have the right to say that or not? But it's a debatable issue. But everybody agreed that if he has a sexual transmitted disease, herpes or anything like that, he or she must say that up in front to explain that to the other party.
If he doesn't know about it himself?
If he or she doesn't know, they don't know. So that's no problem. But I'm talking about somebody hide that. Also, it comes to another group of conditions, which is also one of the conditions that the scholar said it has to be, there's two witnesses. There is two witnesses. And also it has to be have kind of publicity, but ishar, which cannot be secret. But it's very important to know what do we mean by ishar, how public it should be.
How public?
It should be in the news. We put in the newspaper. Okay, I got married. The main thing that your family, mainly her family, her neighbors, knows about that. So if somebody see you with her, he will not think bad of the girl. It's not like, okay, you sneak around her family or her neighborhood to go outside with you. This is not a marriage. Marriage has kind of publicity, but it doesn't mean it has to be public in a sense that everybody has to know about it, but it has to be public in a sense you don't hide it. You don't hide it. The witnesses also, it's required to exist in the marriage. Anyway, we'll just keep it this way without going into details because there's a lot of details that relate to this issue. I'm going to just, if you guys have any question related to these conditions, you're welcome to say. But before that, one of the conditions also that you have to offer dowry, mahar, to the girl. And this is something you should also offer the girl before you get married.
Is there something that governs the mahr, the amount, or is there a certain amount, or is there certain way of measuring it or calculating it? Because in certain cultures, it's more of a business than a marriage, especially when it comes to something like that. And what is the mahr used for?
Okay, first of all, the mahr should be known that it's something from the male to the female, not the other way around. Because in some culture, I don't know if you know that or not, but in some culture, it's the other way around. That female give the male the mahr. You want to move there?
Female?
No. Okay. Yes, the female give the male.
Not here in Egypt.
Okay, so this is some culture. But mahr in Islam, something the male give it to the female. It's her money. The Prophet ﷺ said, if somebody promised a girl a mahr, a dowry, then he didn't give her the mahr that he promised, he will meet Allah as a fornicator. لَقِيَ اللَّهَ زَانِيًا. So it's a very serious issue. If you promise her a mahr, you have to give her. Actually, you should give the mahr up in front before you marry her. Why? Because she used this money to prepare herself for the marriage. It's her own money. This is like something belonged to her. And so many times people take advantage of the woman and they said, oh, don't worry, the most blessed marriage is the one who has no mahr or very few. This is, I'm not in favor of saying no mahr at all. Your mahr is just 2 verses from Quran. I will teach you Surah Al-Fatiha or things like that. This is not what the mahr meant for. The mahr meant it's something materialistic. It's something material you give to your wife. either gold, ring, money, whatever you want to give her. But also, I would like to say that it's not good to exaggerate. Some people put like too much money, as if you're going to buy like a villa or a car, you know. No, it's a marriage. You're not purchasing her. You know, you're not selling your daughter, and I don't think it's proper. And so many times people are like, okay, my neighbor, her mahar was 10,000. Okay, so I'm not going to be less than my neighbor or my cousin. It goes, and it became like auction. You know, who add more?
Car and high building and jewelry.
Yeah, it's not like that. Something reasonable. How much? The Prophet ﷺ have given a very small amount of money as a mahar. And he gave a very big amount of money also as a mahar. Both exist in the Prophet ﷺ's experience in marriage. You find him, he gave a lot of gold, like several pieces of gold, and sometimes he just married with a very common or very cheap dowry. Some fuqaha said something, some Muslim Jewish something I like. They said this should be based on the culture and the social level of the girl and the man. If their social level in certain, like for example, if you go to United States, it's very common that people give, and some people give $5,000, for example, as a mahar. Maybe this is very high amount of money for some people living in other places or other parts of the world. Maybe they give $1,000 a mahar. It's different. So we go with what is reasonable, and finally it's the girl's call. It's the bride's call. It's not her father's call. It's not her mother's call. It's not anybody else. That is your call, basically, sister. That she said, I'm fine with this, she's fine with that. And by the way, this money belonged to her. Her father is not allowed to take it. He's not allowed to use. You give her a $5,000, or 1,000 as a mahar, then after that you tell her, yeah, but by the way, you have to buy the cake and the things with that money. You can't do that. This is her own money.
It's her own personal money.
Yeah.
Okay, and unfortunately we've run out of time for this episode of Youth Talk. I'll love to thank, of course, my guests, Sheikh Waleed Basyouni. It's a pleasure having you with us. I also have Abu Abdullah, Mahmoud and Ahmed. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back again with another episode soon with more topics here on Youth Talk.
Ooh.